NDA has registered an unprecedented and spectacular victory in Bihar. Of course, initial opinion polls suggested a tough battle, a very close race between NDA and Mahagathbandhan. However, the exit polls predicted a clear victory for NDA. But contrary to this even exit poll prediction, much above than the exit polls prediction, the NDA won more than 200 seats. This is simply remarkable. Well, it cannot be attributed only to the compromised electoral process. Well, opposition, especially the Congress, still wants us to believe that the lack of integrity in the electoral rolls has resulted in this kind of a phenomenal victory for the NDA. I don't think the compromised electoral process alone has led to NDA's massive win. I'm sure there is a lot of things which Election Commission has to correct and answer on the electoral process. I'm not denying the fact that the electoral process is being compromised by the Election Commission in collusion with the ruling dispensation. But at the same time, attributing NDA's remarkable victory only to the alleged compromised electoral process is absolutely erroneous. The opposition would be doing a disservice to themselves by living in such a kind of an illusion. They should honestly introspect what resulted in this mandate for the NDA. So let me tell you some of the factors that led to this NDA tsunami. So media calls it not tsunami, Sunnimo, which means Nemo, Nitish Kumar and Narendra Modi. So number one, Indian elections are increasingly getting presidentialized. Though it is a parliamentary democracy, though we vote for MLAs and MPs, but the fact remains that the leader makes it all the difference. The people vote for the leader rather than their local representative. So given the presidentialization of Indian electoral system, especially in the post-Modi era, NDA has a double advantage, the double dhamaka of Nitish Kumar at the state and Narendra Modi at the national level. This formidable leadership of NEMO, not just the NAMO, but the NEMO factor, helped NDA to consolidate its gains. On the contrary, the Mahagathbandhan was suffering from the leadership crisis. The Congress was very late to accept the leadership of Tejasvi Yadav as their chief ministerial face. Similarly, the Rahul Gandhi, though made a lot of noise and though had some traction on his Votadhikar Yatra, but certainly no match to Narendra Modi's leadership. So Nitish Kumar, on the contrary, despite his frailing health and all kinds of accusations, still remains a formidable leader among a constituency of voters, especially the most backward caste and the women voters. So this combination of Narendra Modi and Nitish Kumar compared to Tejasvi and Rahul Gandhi has clearly given the advantage to the NDA. Surprisingly, we see in Mahagathbandhan's leadership question, Rahul Gandhi conducted a very impressive Votadhikar Yatra, but subsequently he was absent, he was missing in action in Bihar for nearly 40 days. He went abroad during this critical period. Such gaps in the leadership is absolutely incomprehensible. This is the first factor. Second factor, social engineering, which is an euphemism for caste arithmetic, dominates the Indian electoral scene and especially in the states like Bihar. Bihar is a big caste calculus that fuels the victories for any political party. So Mahagathbandhan as a social combination, NDA as a social combination. But NDA's social engineering was much more astute, much more comprehensive in character. The Bharatiya Janata Party could bring in Bhumihar, Rajput and Brahmin and other upper class votes. The Nitish Kumar leadership brought in the very, very significant most backward caste or extremely backward caste to the NDA. Extremely backward caste or most backward caste, the constituency of voters which Nitish Kumar intelligently cultivated for over decades, constitute around 36%, among whom 10% are are extremely backward caste Muslims also. So this 36% vote is a very significant vote base for Nitish Kumar. So that has come to the NDA. And similarly, the Chirag Paswan-led Lok Janshakti Party brought the Paswan Dalits, who account for a major chunk of the Dalit community. So the Kushwaha, Upendra Kushwaha-led Rashtriya Lok Morcha, RLM, brought the Kushwaha vote along with the Kurmi or Nitish Kumar caste. Koiri Kushwahas are also an important EBC community. The Hindustan Awami Morcha, Jatin Ram Manji, brought in the Mahadalits. So this combination of upper caste, extremely backward caste like Kurmi, Koiri, the Kushwahas, Dalits, Paswan Dalits, Pasmanda Muslims, the backward Muslims who are essentially the supporters of Nitish Kumar, this formed the largest social cohort for the National Democratic Alliance. On the contrary, Mahagathbandhan was essentially relying on the Muslim Yadav formula, MY formula. Well, this accounts for around 1/3 of the total votes. But in this election, the MY formula was breached. So that is the third, that leads to the third point. So in the MY formula, which prominently has defined the RJD's political base, was first time significantly breached. How was it breached? So Yadav, Tejasvi Yadav was projected as the chief ministerial face. Well, this certainly led to Yadav consolidation, which will anyhow happen, but it has happened more. But this has also led to the non-Yadav consolidation, because the Jangal Raj narrative which the NDA was promoting could resonate with the Yadav domination. So the non-Yadav consolidation helped NDA. So this is called the social incumbency. Nitish Kumar government was facing political incumbency, but that could be overcome with the RJD social anti-incumbency. And Nitish Kumar was suffering from political anti-incumbency because he was in power for 20 years, whether most of the time as an NDA chief minister and for a brief period as a Mahagathbandhan CM also. So the political anti-incumbency facing which Nitish Kumar faced was compensated or was covered up by the social anti-incumbency of RJD in the form of anti-Yadav consolidation of backward classes. Similarly, the Muslim vote base was breached by All India Majlis-e-Ittihad al-Muslimin, which fared well in the Simanchal region, and also by Prashant Kishore to an extent, and also by the Pasmanda Muslims garnered by Nitish Kumar. So there were three forms of breaching. One was significantly by the AMIM, OIC-led Majlis-e-Ittihad al-Muslimin, and the Pasmanda Muslims, a section of whom supported Nitish Kumar, and to a minimum extent even by the Prashant Kishore. So this is the reason for the Mahagathbandhan's social edifice getting crumbled. That's the third factor. Fourth factor is the welfareism. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi always talks against the Rewadi culture, but BJP is winning elections after elections using Rewadi's only. This was seen in Maharashtra, this was seen in Madhya Pradesh, this was seen in Delhi, and now in Bihar. On the eve of the elections, the NDA indulged in a absolutely unethical electoral practice by crediting 10,000 rupees in 1.3 crore women accounts. So Bihar is a very poor state with 70% of the population living around 6,000 rupees with monthly income. So 10,000 rupees is a whose money. Apart from this 10,000 rupees, another 2 lakh loan was also promised. So this resulted in a massive upswing in the women's support for the NDA. In fact, women were already supporting Nitish Kumar. This led to the further consolidation. This is evident for the fact that 71% of the women voted. If you look at the vote percentages among men and women, the gap is around 8 to 9%. There was always a gap, but 8 to 9% is the highest gap. So 1.3 crore women beneficiaries of this scheme alone were the strongest support base for the Nitish Kumar led NDA. Similarly, pensions were increased for 1.2 crore people. The free electricity scheme benefited. All these welfareism, the brazen welfareism which Narendra Modi wants us to believe that would harm Indian economy, is resorted to by the NDA in Bihar. So this welfareism helped Bihar NDA to register a massive win. Then the fifth aspect is the mahila factor. Nitish Kumar has always cultivated a massive women constituency of supporters. Always, if you look at the previous elections also, women turned out to vote in a big number compared to men. And women significantly voted for Nitish Kumar in the previous elections also. There is a reason for that. Nitish Kumar brought in 35% reservations for women. He has supplied free napkins, sanitary napkins to girls, bicycles for school-going, college-going girls, and he has given 50% reservations for women in local bodies, and now 10,000 rupees benefit, and also 2 lakh loan for Jivika Didi, Dhokra women. So this women-centric governance agenda of Nitish Kumar for over decades has resulted in a very significant support base. So Nitish Kumar not only enjoys the support of the most backward caste, he also enjoys the support of the women cutting across the caste. So this is the Nitish Kumar women factor. The mahila factor is also important. Well, of course, the young voter was disenchanted with Nitish Kumar for the question of unemployment. Tejasvi Yadav significantly raised this issue of unemployment, but he could not convince the electorate given his background. Well, Prashant Kishore also fought the elections on a similar agenda, resulting in a division in the anti-incumbency vote. Then the sixth factor was the lack of cohesion in the Mahagathbandhan. On the contrary, India was a very stable alliance. They had finalized the seat sharing much before. Their leadership fought like a united wall. On the contrary, Mahagathbandhan was always fractured. The Congress refused to accept Tejasvi Yadav as Chief Minister for quite some time. It was only at the latter phase the Congress agreed for Tejasvi Yadav as the Chief Minister phase. There was problems in seat sharing. There were friendly contests, most of which Mahagathbandhan lost. So this lack of cohesion within the Mahagathbandhan has also made a very big negative impact on the Mahagathbandhan's electoral fortunes. Then the seventh aspect was the Hindu majoritarian consolidation. Well, in a state like Bihar, where the RJD primarily relies on Muslim Yadav combination, well, when Muslims can become the vote bank, not for parties like MAM, but even for the so-called secular parties like RJD, obviously the BJP has an advantage of Hindu majoritarian consolidation. So this has been happening in Bihar for quite some time. As a result, the BJP's electoral fortunes have been consistently improving in Bihar. If you look at the last few elections, BJP graph was always rising. So this has further increased in post-Operation Sindhu. I'm not sure whether the Delhi blast had also contributed to this, but certainly the post-Operation Sindhu, the consistent campaign of the Hindutva has led to the Hindu majoritarian consolidation in favor of the National Democratic Alliance. So these are all some of the factors that led to the massive victory of the National Democratic Alliance.